Good morning. Happy New Year.
Yes.
This is Andy and Natalie Goddard, and we are super excited to be with you here today.
So grateful to be among the finest people on earth. You honestly amazing year and all that has come to be. And just want to send you all of our love and gratitude for who you are, for how you show up, for what you are doing every day that is making a difference in your home, in your life, and the homes of so many others. It is literally changing the face of the earth, and what a privilege and an honor that we have to be a part of this with you. We just honor you and celebrate you today.
And hope you recognize what a special crowd and individual that you are. You make up the top 1% of all network marketers in the world. To have achieved the rank of silver above is no small task. And you're the elite of the elite. So we honor you. We thank you for everything you're doing, and thank you for the lives you're touching and the difference that you're making in the world.
You know what's sweet about doTERRA is this story is still evolving, right? You know, network marketing has been around for a long time, and we have learned not to compare ourselves to other network marketing companies because doTERRA is so unique. And the story that's being told is so amazing. We continue to see miracle after miracle as we know in the lives of these people. And so as we reflect with gratitude on all that has happened in 2017, we just give gratitude, and we're excited to jump in to 2018 and all that it has to offer.
So 2017, just for the books, another record-breaking year. Mm-hmm. I know we hear that every year, but we are part of something really special. Mm-hmm. doTERRA continues to grow and expand. It's not just international growth. Most of that growth took place in the US, which is absolutely mind-blowing. As most of you probably already know, doTERRA is now the single largest direct selling company in America. So we are part of literally a movement. This is not just a cute idea. This is not just a handful of people. Mm-hmm. We are part of a revolution. So welcome.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for being a catalyst and a leader in this journey. So this call is for our silvers and above. It's a high-level call. We wanted to bring you the best of the best. And every year, Andy and I sit down together, and we like to invite in, we get clear on what we want, and then we like to invite in Tiffany Peterson because she's been so gifted at asking those questions that help us make the best choices for the year to come. And so we wanted to give you the gift of that experience and step back for just a minute. We're excited for you to put those cell phones away, turn them over, let them go, put it on silent, take the time away just to drop into this year, drop into what you really want, where you really want to go. And we couldn't think of anyone better to do this with than Tiffany Peterson. She has led us on an incredible journey, and we're so grateful for her gifts as a sales coach, as a strategist, as a mentor in these ways. And so we are super excited to bring her in and share her with you in this way. Tiffany.
So I see Tiffany as an attendee, but I don't see her as a panelist.
We'll keep working on that for just a minute.
So do you want to give them some instructions on get their journal and
great,
get their brew and
grab your journal. Grab any clarity that you have. One of the things I like to think about at the beginning of the year is, what's my focus? Where will that focus be? I like to choose one word that helps me stay on track, where I can progress throughout this year. And I still haven't found my word yet for 2018. I'm watching for it, asking for it. 2017 was, our word was strength. and that has proved really useful. So as we get going, we're going to, let me just give you an overview of the next 2 hours that we have together. So first of all, we're going to dive into planning and strategy and reflection with Tiffany. And then we're going to, as we get that clarity and have that foundation over the next 75 minutes, then we're going to step into a strengths conversation and take those strengths and apply them to the clarity that you then have on direction, strategy for 2018. So, Tiffany Peterson, we love you. We're so grateful for you. Thanks
oh my gosh.
for bringing it here.
Thank you for having me. And I'm so grateful for you. I think if every one of you that's listening or viewing this right now, if we just want to send some gratitude love to Andy and Natalie Goddard, because the reality is that they have been huge pioneers for every single one of us and for doTERRA and who they are and how they show up. So if you just send them some love, because keep in mind, I think it's really easy to join doTERRA now, right? Because now it's this $1 billion company. It's been recognized by Forbes. It's obviously been around for nearly a decade, and it's this really sure bet. But when they jumped on the train and got in the trenches, there was no website. There was no training systems in place. There wasn't a lot of support. There was a dream and a vision and a lot of courage. And so I just think it's really important that we remember that, because what's become familiar to all of us, and to have these oils in our homes and to have this kind of training and the kind of support and the kind of tribe that they have helped foster. And so sincerely, you two, I just honor you. And I know that your tribe, we just feel so much gratitude for you and who you are and how you show up, and that you have literally pioneered such a big part of a revolution. So honoring of you guys. So thank you for having me here. And you know, I love you dearly, right? I mean, we're lifers now, as I call it, because of all the things that we've been through. But I'm excited to be here with you guys. And I just invite you, as they've asked and encouraged you to do so, as this is going to be a really gem-filled, powerful, juicy sharing session that we're going to engage in together. And just invite you to create the sacred space, right? Is that you turn off your distractions, make sure your cell phones are on silent, you know, on mute and all of that good stuff. And maybe grab some water or your favorite juice, grab a notebook and dial up your diffuser. I've got cheer and lime and grapefruit in my diffuser this morning. So, and a little clary calm here on my body. But I just invite you to get yourself centered and in a space so you can receive, right? So thank you for having me. We're going to talk about a couple of things this morning. I do want to make sure that all of you have access to a free program, because what I typically do the first of this year is working with people is like, right, setting goals and visioning and strategy. And we're going to do some of that, but I really want to power pack in this session custom for you guys today. I literally just created something new this morning that I've not shared anywhere else in terms of a visual and a format. And so I put them in writing. So I'll show those visuals to you in just a moment. But I do want to make sure you have a goals training of mine. I'm just going to put my website in the chat box. My website says everyone is not in session. Okay. Let's just send it to everyone anyway. See if we can do that. So my website is tiffanyspeaks.com, and there's a goals training there that I'd like for you to receive. It's a free training. There's no strings attached. It's about an hour and 20-minute audio talking through the 7 strategies for successful goal achievement. And then there's a accompanying workbook that comes with that. It's beautiful that you can go through that program yourself. And I am going to touch on some of those key pieces here today, but the entire program of that specific thing, I want to make sure you have. I know many of you know about setting goals and, right, the power of that and so forth. I just want to talk about a couple of key things to really support you as silvers and above in this experience. So as we get started, oh, go ahead. What, Lovey?
I was just going to say, as we come upon little nuggets throughout this call, we're keeping track so that we can send you out an email with the recording of this call and links, a reminder link of the big calendar that we sent you in the mail. If you didn't receive that, you can print out more. You can go with that. This link from Tiffany, great, great gems. We'll send you out an email with all those in it so you can stay in the moment.
Awesome. Yes, I agree with her. And at times you might hear me reference like a YouTube video. I have a really robust YouTube channel, or my podcast or social media or something. And so I agree, is gather the resources, but if you would just stay put with us so we keep your focus in this space is part of success in life. And a big piece of that I've been studying, that I've been learning a lot and being reminded of myself, is the power of our ability to focus, right? And our ability to be productive in what we're producing and so forth. So I just invite you to stay with us and eliminate your distractions and really get into some of this juicy stuff. So as we begin before we get into 2018, I would like to just do a little bit of acknowledgement and gratitude, if you will, and blessing of the year we've just come from. So if you would start with a blank sheet of paper, and at the very top, I'd like you to state the phrase wins and victories. And then I'd like for you to just start jotting down what were some of your wins and victories for 2017. Right. So if you think about that for yourself, is things like, right, enrollments you may have rank advanced in 2017. But I also want you to look at things like, did you read a book? Did you attend a training? Did you work on your own self-care and your own health? Did you declutter your space? Did you invest in your marriage or a relationship? Did you, travel somewhere new? Did you move into a new home? Did you pay off some debt? Right? Variety of things. What were your wins and victories for 2017? And then next on your list, and you can obviously keep writing as I move along, I just am going to be a little bit quick to be sensitive to get as much as we can in this session, is what are you grateful for 2017? Your gratitudes for the past year. Here's the thing, even if 2017, I assume for all of you, because you're human, that there were some great things in 2017 and there was probably some challenges in 2017. And that's real life for all of us. Yet I know that everything is energy. I want you to write that for me in your notes. That's going to be a key piece that we talk about. Everything is energy. And so if we come into 2018 with the same energy, the same thoughts that we had before, if we come into 2018 with that same energy, so to speak, then we just recreate because of the thoughts we're thinking and the experiences like that. And so it's really coming to a space of what are my gratitudes, and we're thankful. What was 2017 there to teach you, right? What were the lessons of that year? And so as we think about wins and victories, then we think about gratitude, then we think about what were some of those key lessons that we learned. I'm just going to adjust to see I've got sunshine coming right through. I can see on my face this morning. So maybe I'm not going to get out of the light, but maybe that's not a bad thing. So wins and victories, and then what are your gratitudes? As well as what were your lessons for 2017? What was that year here to teach you? Just tuning into that for yourself, right? My wins, my victories, my gratitudes, my lessons for the previous year. And just holding that space will help us, I think, approach the new year with energy that just feels so much better and that gives us a space of clarity. The other thing I want to share is the principles I'm going to talk with you about today are universal. And that means they're timeless. And that means that they have the ability to, be applicable to you at any time of the year. So you could watch this Zoom back, in July, you could watch it in October. You could do any of that for yourself as it applies to today, and as well as it will apply any time in the year as you come to this. So sometimes we put pressure on ourselves at the new year, like I've got to have my whole life mapped out, all of my goals perfectly clear. And we're going to work on some clarity today
but really just knowing that it is about progress. When I coach anyone, there's 3 coaching philosophies. So as I work with clients privately or in a group coaching program format, there's 3 simple coaching philosophies, and I'd like you to jot them down because they're really like life mantras. Number 1 is that no one's perfect, myself included by a long shot, but it is about commitment. So I like to say, perfect no, committed yes. So as we think about your goals, as we think about growing your business, improving your own health and wellness, helping you create more of what you want, is definitely thinking through that thought is perfect no, committed yes. Number 2 is that you hold the space moving from perfectionism or the that never enough type mindset, but we move from perfectionism to progress over perfection every single time. We want to be progress oriented in what we're creating. And then the third thought process that I'd like you to adopt while we work together today, and something to consider as a mantra for this year, is that we move away from judgment and into observation, is to release judgment and to observe, right? So as you look at what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, what needs to be cleaned up in my life, right? I love that as thinking about what are some of the loose ends in my life that I need to clean up? What are some of the things that I need to create or address for myself as we look at those things? But to move into observation, if you were to say, what are my top 2 strengths? I'm excited Natalie and Andy are going to walk you through some beautiful stuff this morning. And also saying, where do I get stuck the most? What are my triggers or so forth? Is really, but whenever we're doing any of this work, is that we hold the space of observing, not judgment. I love the quote by Wayne Dyer where he says, you don't remedy anything by condemning it, right? And so anytime we move into judgment of ourselves or someone else, what you've really just done is put glue to the very thing you don't want. It's like cement, judgment energy. Now we all have judgmental thoughts. Every single day at some point, a judgmental thought. I just don't want you to invite it in and make it a home and get it, some bedding and some drapes and that you really make that judgmental thought comfortable, is we want to, observe it, feel it, and then have it move on for ourselves. But those are some thoughts to begin with, right, for ourselves, is to look at, my wins, victories, my gratitudes, my life lessons, and then holding the space that as we think about 2018, is that we're not going to be perfect. Right? I don't know about you, but already we're at January 4th, right? Welcome to the new year, January 4th. And have any of you already been frustrated so far in the new year, right? Anyone in the last 4 days felt frustrated or lost your cool with your kids, or you've thought a negative thought, or you felt tired, or something you've wanted to do, right? That's real life. And so again, it isn't about perfection. It is about commitment. And I promise this sunlight will not be on my face the whole time. I kind of feel like I'm wearing a little bit. I don't have like a selfie stick in front of me that's like trying to put this extra light on my face. It's just natural sunshine coming through my office. So there you have it. All right. So perfect no, committed yes. We're going to focus on progress this year. Progress equals happiness as we are evolving human beings. Where do I want to make progress in is a really important thing to look at. And then finally we're going to be more observers this year and observers this day than we are going to be in the judgment seat. Observe what comes up for you and observe the triggers that come up in your teams or in your relationships and things like that, is that you get to have a new experience. So excited to help support you in that. So one thing that I'd like us to do and to look at, and this is some of the work that we're going to talk through today, is when we look at creating anything new, as we begin with clarity, right? Clarity is the beginning of creation. And a lot of times I'm going to give you a few clarity points, right? So if I was to say strategy number 1, and then we're going to do a deep dive just on number 1, is the power of clarity, right? As creation begins in clarity, it's just having, what's the vision, asking questions like, what do I want? That is so bright. There we go. I'm going to tuck in out of that. We're going to ask questions. I promise I'm not always going to be this close and personal with you all session long, but here we go for just a second. I want you to think about questions like, what do I really want this year in my business, in my relationships, in my own health and wellness, in my home, in my heart, and in my joy? What brings me more joy? What would feel like fulfillment to me? When do I feel the most productive and creative? When do I feel the happiest and the healthiest? What things or actions or people or activities are happening when I feel the happiest and the healthiest and the most fulfilled? And to journal to some of those questions. Now, this is something I'm going to keep moving along, but I want you to capture those and start writing to them. But realize over this coming up weekend, I invite you to make a love date with yourself. Block off an hour or two or a full day or a half day. Get into the woods, go to your favorite cafe, or even tuck away in your favorite chair in your home and really sit with some of these questions. What would help me feel more fulfilled? When am I the happiest? When am I the healthiest? And that you start to look at as the architect of your own life and start answering those questions as you tune into your heart. Again, you have a heart date and say, what brings me these types of experiences? And that you sit with those questions for yourself and that you start with that clarity. Is that a lot of times what we're really after is a different feeling state or more of a feeling state. And I'm inviting you to expand upon that of feeling good and feeling better. When you're feeling good, you're a powerful force to be reckoned with. Right? So that's why I'm such a huge proponent and teacher of self-care. Self-care isn't just about frilliness and it's not just a luxury, but when we're going to talk about that a little more in depth today too, but it's really looking at as you show up for yourself and you feel good and you feel energetic, your energy is a really magnetic force and it's a converting force to others. Energies are contagious, right? Like the energy of positivity, enthusiasm, excitement, confidence. Also, the flip side and the negative energies are contagious as well. So we want to be aware of that for our own experiences, what we're creating, what we're putting out there, and then for ourselves, what we're also absorbing and the environments and the people that we're spending time with is that we want to be aware of that for ourselves. So looking at clarity for yourself, we've just done a little clarity work on 2017 as we're rounding the corner into a new year. And again, any time of the year, you could listen to this recording and it will be applicable because these are principles and it's universal, it's timeless. And I actually encourage you to do that. One goal that I'm doing this year, this came up with a conversation. I had a small group of women here at my home for New Year's Eve and for New Year's Day. And we were talking about, setting into our calendars. One girlfriend was talking about she blocks off a Friday a month where she will review her goals throughout the year. Now, I wouldn't do a full day for myself, but I would do 2 to 4 hours. And to put that in your calendar, maybe the first Friday of every month, from 10 a.m. to noon is a review of my goals, a review of my vision, and that you drop back into that clarity work for yourself. I think that's really smart. I've been doing it quarterly, but I want to bump it up to once a month, is looking at for myself those things. I love to set vision for a year, and then I love to set goals more specifically in 90-day increments, 30, 60, and 90 days that will help me be really dialed into what am I focusing in on skill-wise, habit-wise, project-wise, business-wise, personal-wise for myself in that base. So those are some great clarity questions. What do I really want? What am I craving more of? What would feel like more happiness for me or fulfillment? When am I feeling my happiest and my healthiest? If you feel like adding to the chat box, I'd love to hear it. When do you feel your happiest or your healthiest? What are 1 or 2 simple things that help you do that? If you want to add those to the chat box, I'd love to connect with some of you and just get to know you a little better about what's up for you and what you're working on. So yeah, I love Chelsea when I actually get up early, when I'm in nature. I'm with you. Nature for me is such a grounding force. Service of others, my house is clean. Christy, I'm with you. I've been in such a decluttering mode of move things out of the house. Oh, I love it. Being active, right? And I love Jennifer's and Bria's comment that says, let go of outcomes, right? So I can feel supported, connection. I love it, you guys. Good stuff. Keep them coming. I think that's great to be clear. And you're also giving others ideas as you're sharing in the chat box of what are simple things that help you feel happy, that help you feel fulfilled, that help you feel connected, grounded, that helps you feel, that experience of happiness and being happy and healthy. What I'd like you to create for me is a blank sheet of paper in your workbook or notebook. And I'd like you to create this image, right? So I'm just going to, if you can see that, is to kind of create a T or within a page, like a quadrant. I like to write a heart in the middle. And this, I would like you to put yourself in the middle. You can write your name or me or whatnot for yourself that you can do that. I love when I see Tiffany Peterson show up in the panelists. Hi, sweetheart, Tiffany Peterson. We've met at doTERRA convention actually a couple of years ago, and it's fun to see that. So there you have it. Okay, so if you'd create this image for me, and I'm going to give you 4 quadrants, but if you'd create something similar, and we're going to create this one for yourself, and then I've got something new that I'm going to share with you that's exciting. So I just want to take some inventory really quickly, and actually on this sheet, keep this sheet blank for just a moment, and in your notes, I just want to take a quick inventory. And I want us to we're going to look at you first and your own well-being and your own self-care. As I've mentioned, everything is energy. And so your number one sales strategy, which might sound interesting for sales, is to increase your own energy. Is that you're a walking billboard, right? You're a walking testimonial of energy, of vitality. When I think of doTERRA, I think of the word vitality all the time. It's synonymous for me. And so it's really about, am I embodying, right? I love the word embodiment or embodying. Am I embodying vitality? It's a simple question. Am I embodying vitality? And although my perfectionists or recovering perfectionists here on this Zoom might be thinking, well, not perfectly, or I could always improve, but it's really looking at that conversation for yourself is to say, am I committed to my own health and my own well-being? Remember when I said that's coaching mantra number 1 is perfect no, committed yes, is to increase or recommit in this moment, in this day, to say I'm recommitted to my own well-being, to my own energy. Is part of the way that you're going to rank advance or go to your next level or solidify the rank you're at or attract better opportunities and new leaders is that you energetically are moving around the planet with high energy. Right? That does not mean it's a certain number on the scale, right? Especially in America. I know you guys are from all over the world, but in America specifically, we often make health and weight synonymous, and they're not. It's more about the energy that you're after. So let's take a quick inventory, and then we'll come back to the diagram I've just walked you through. So I want to have you leave the diagram blank for a moment because we're going to fill that in together. But I want you to just take an inventory from the following areas on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, 1 being low. And there's no right or wrong to this. It's just the energy for yourself that you are going to look at and just evaluate. So I would say the last, 14 days to 30 days. So the last month. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, 1 being low, where would you rate your own physical well-being? And go ahead and write that number down. And overall physical energy or physical well-being, where would you rate that for yourself? Under physical, I want to look at 3 specific subcategories that I'd like you just to take an inventory to. Number 1 is sleep. In the last 30 days, or even the last 7 to 10 days, where would you rate the quality of your sleep on a scale of 1 to 10? And go ahead and write that down. Your nutrition, the fuel that's going in your body, where would you rate that on a scale of 1 to 10? And then your movement or your exercise in the last, again, 10 days to 30 days, where would you rate your own physical movement? So again, we're still under physical, but I just want you to look at some of those areas. Now, here's the thing about change, is that when we want to create change that sticks, is we want to start with simple things. So let's say with rest or sleep, you wrote down the number 6, right? And so with the number 6, then rather than saying, how do I get to a 10, is what's one simple thing or what's one thing you could do that would take you to a 7? And you go, okay, well, I could have a curfew with my technology, or I could have a cup of hot tea or do some stretches before sleep, or read or gratitude list, right? For instance, is just being more intentional of how you put yourself to bed. You might say, I need to clean off my bed. Maybe there's too much stuff or too much stuff in my bedroom, or I need to go to bed. I'm going to go to bed at least 30 minutes earlier tonight. That kind of thing is, if you're currently a 6, how do you go to a 7? If you're a 9, how do I go to a 10? If you're a 2, how do I go to a 3? Simple, what are simple changes you can make there? But overall, your physical well-being, and then looking at sleep, nutrition, and movement for your own well-being. The second area I want you to look at is spiritual. And this is an interesting space to look at because it's different things to different people. But I want you to think about your spiritual life. And your spiritual, for most people, spiritual means connection, right? And looking at that for yourself to say, on a scale of 1 to 10, your own well-being with spirituality, where would you rate that for yourself? And go ahead and write that down. How connected do you feel? Whether you would say to God or source or universe, to your higher self, to your intuition. Bless you, Nat. But where would you rate that for yourself? And whatever that means to you. And if, let's say, similar again, you say, maybe I feel like I'm a 7. Well, what's one thing that would take you to an 8? And you might say, I'm going to meditate today, or I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to read my Bible, or I'm going to gratitude list, or I'm going to serve someone, or I'm going to do some yoga, right? Whatever those things might look like for you, but your spiritual life and your spiritual well-being, where you would currently rate that. And then let's look at emotional. Emotional to me is your contentment level, your joy level, the emotional side of your life on a scale of 1 to 10. How much joy have you felt in the last 10 days to 30 days? I feel like I'm coming off a joy bender. So I have had a little bit of a holiday hangover this week, is that I play full out. I've taken like the last 3 weeks off. And that's one of my very clear intentions as part of working for myself, is the gift of having more time around the holidays, my birthday and New Year's. And I have punched my fun ticket for sure. So my joy level and my contentment level is feeling really good right now, right? So it's being aware of that. But there's times it doesn't feel that great, and that's okay too. It's just checking in. Where's my contentment level, my joy level right now under the emotional piece of your life? I love it. A new puppy, and I love Chelsea's 2 cents about how you do doTERRA is how you do life. It's definitely a personal transformation company and process, and you're all change agents to that. That's why I want you to think about, when you think about what do you sell, you all sell change, right? And that you're part of, as transformational leaders, you're change agents and helping people physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially create that change for yourself. And then the final area, I'd just like you to do a little inventory too, and then we're going to move back to that worksheet and get really creative for yourself, is looking at the mindset piece or the mental piece, right, for yourself. On the scale of 1 to 10, your own mental well-being, how calm you feel, clarity, so forth, that you feel well nourished in your mindset. On that piece, your mental capacity, your mindset piece on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate that for yourself? And what you would identify for you the last, say again, 30 days. Awesome. Okay, so back to this sheet, and this sheet in the middle, I'll walk you through it, is I draw a heart and then lines out from it. But either way, you could just draw a straight T. And then the top quadrant is physical, then the second top quadrant, so we go top left is physical, top right is spiritual, bottom left is emotional, and bottom right is mindset. And what I'd like you to do is a little strategy work here, is similar as looking within these quadrants. If you were to think about how am I going to up level or have better energy in the heart, if you want to write on the heart, you know, where it says your name or yourself or me, is everything is energy, right? You are a little mini power plant that's moving around this planet. And so when we think about, we're going to be committed, one of the fastest ways, one is that being committed to your own well-being and your own self-care will help you significantly. Let's see if I can move out of that light just a little. I don't know. Sorry, you're just going to get me in the light today, guys. That's all right. Apparently, it's bright and shiny today. So what I'd like you to look at is thinking about, one, is your commitment to your own well-being and your own self-care is going to feel better for you. It's going to feel great for you, and you deserve to feel great. I don't know if you've been reminded of that for yourself for a while, is that you deserve to feel great. You deserve to feel good. And secondly, is one of the ways that we help grow your business is that we increase your energy, right? Of how you help then have energy to develop your leaders, and how we help you have the energy to be more magnetic as you're out meeting other people, the other people are with you for sure. Brenda's asking me to hold this up again. So this is just the visual. You can just create that on a blank sheet of paper. Again, it's pretty simple. It's just that will help you, right? And then I want you to start filling in each of these quadrants with what are the simple activities that you want to commit to, or that you want more so in your life, not perfect, but committed to your physical well-being, right? What are some of the simple changes that you want to focus on in each of those categories? And the 4 quadrants, Rosie, are physical, spiritual, emotional, and mental, or mindset. Yes, thank you for capturing that, you guys, in the chat box. So let me give you a few examples. I want you to think in terms also of habits, right? You can list actions or activities as well as habits. Whenever I'm looking to create change for myself or change to support others, is I'm really looking at how do we create habit change, right? Is that habit change for ourselves is what we're truly after. Is if we can create it as a habit, it's going to stick, right, for ourselves. And so like for myself, written on a big 5x7 card on my bathroom mirror is 4 core habits, the 4 cores I like to call them, for my own health and wellness. And they're simple habits. They're not this big, huge commitment, but simple habits that it's what you might say move the needle. Or I love my favorite book of 2017 that I read last year was The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson in terms of personal growth. And he's using the conversation around compound interest, right? Like the penny. What's your penny, as he would say? And that penny might not be a big deal as one day you get a penny, but then if that penny doubles the next day and then doubles the next day and doubles the next day, within 30 days, you're into, I believe, like $1 million. And you think about your life and your time is that your penny and your small things, they're easy to do. They're also easy not to do. And I'll share, Kim, as she's asking, my 4 core habits right now is number 1, that I drink at least 40 ounces of water a day. Now, 40 ounces is still not where I, quote, need to be by recommendation, but for me to be to 40 ounces on a consistent basis is a huge improvement, right, with my water intake for me. You get to choose for you, but 40 ounces of water every single day. Number 2, my second habit that I'm focused on is movement every day, at least 15 minutes, right? So I may not have the dynamic of, I may not have, a full hour of a workout. However, I am committed to moving my body at least 15 minutes a day. The last 2 nights, that's been yoga in the evening. Lots of times that's a walk or a jog, or sometimes it is going to the gym. But it's about, I want my physical body moving intentionally at least 15 minutes a day. And I can do 15 minutes a day, right? And that's the point of setting a goal or having a habit where some days it's going to be more than that. Some days I'm barely going to hit that 15 in terms of physical movement, but I at least know that I can commit to that, and that consistency is what I'm after. Number 3 is that I plank every day, right? A form of core movement or core engagement. And number 4 is that I have greens every day. And that's what, I got double greens going on right now. I've got my juice right here. I love this juicery here in Utah, Vive Juicery. And then I have a smoothie that's got all kinds of goodness of collagen and chia seed and my doTERRA. You know what I love in my smoothies, you guys? I'm a big fan of the doTERRA. I do Lifelong Vitality, and I also love the liquid version of the omega oil, right? That's supposedly kids vitamin, but I'm just a big kid. So, the wild orange omega oil, I add that to my smoothie every morning. And then a big handful of spinach and so forth. And then I do a greens powder. So I'm doubling down on my greens this morning. But those are my 4 core habits is, greens daily, plank daily, movement daily, water daily, right? For instance, and if you want to use any of those that speak to you, great. If you want to, something else for yourself and you think about that, is just asking yourself, if we look at your physical quadrant, out of all the things, what's the one thing you feel like I want to commit to at least for January? Maybe not for the whole year. The whole year might feel way overwhelming. But for the month of January, what are you wanting to focus on? What's your one habit, right? Yeah, I've tried that with the blind. Well, good point. I'll try it again. We'll see if we can. That helps.
I love where Tiffany's taken us. This is, you know, I've been reading High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard, and, you know, seeking clarity is the very first high performance habit, and getting clear on where you want to go here. And those simple things, the simple habits are what make the difference.
I love that. And you know, it's fun. I got to spend some time with him in December here in Utah, and his book as well. And I love that. It's just like, are we taking time to think and to get clear and to strategize and then to commit? One other book I've been reading actively right now is called The One Thing. And I'm still loving the Slight Edge even more so, but I love the concept of the one thing. Is what's your one thing that you're working on for yourself that you're going to focus on for the month, right? Is looking at that one habit in each of these quadrants, I would say, that will help support you, right? So great things. Okay, so let's now look at spiritual. What's a handful of activities or things that you want to commit to or that help you feel more connected, right? Because what matters with clarity is that we get away from generalizations, right? Things like, well, I want to feel more connected to God, for instance. Okay, or I want to be happier. Okay, those are great starting points, but then I want you to keep flushing that out that says, you know, the conversation, what helps me feel connected? And you might say, I'm going to commit to a morning ritual each day where I connect first. I maybe, you know, do meditation, or I pray, or both. I might read something inspiring. I call it the sacred 10 in terms of having a consistent morning ritual that you start your day every day with at least 10 minutes to ground yourself before you're on your cell phone, before you're on the agenda of someone else. The minute you pick up your cell phone or you're in email or on social media, you're on the agenda of someone else, and that you begin your day though with you. I love it. Joel Osteen has said, I don't meet with anyone until I meet with God, right? And whatever God might mean to you. Some of you may not use the phrase God. That's really resonant for me, but you might say source or universe or myself or my intuition is to spend time connecting. But other spiritual activities you might want to commit to. You might want to say, I want to commit to a gratitude journal this year, or I want to commit to reading something spiritual each day. And that might be that's what's up for you, right? That you're connecting into that. But I just want you brainstorming when you're living your best life, your ideal life, how you're feeling physically. And then you write down some of those actions and activities or habits that will help you have that. Same thing with spiritual. When you're living your best life, how do you feel spiritually, right? And spiritually, your spirit feels connected. You're feeling feelings like gratitude and trust and love and service. And you're feeling like maybe purpose. Maybe one of your goals this year is to really write out your purpose, right? And being for sure in your business, I want you to focus on that, of course, too. But looking at my purpose, you know, my love quotient, and I want to love more. I want to forgive more. I want more grace or compassion. The word gentleness has really been up for me. And I've had two things this week. I'll post them on my Facebook or my Instagram page. You can find me there. One is a podcast that I recorded with a group called Life in 22 Minutes that I recorded actually in December. It just launched, though, yesterday. And then earlier this week, I recorded a segment for my local television station called Studio 5. They do a program, Studio 5, on Channel 5 KSL on gentleness. And, you know, really looking at that is, I love that. Gentleness for myself, gentleness for others is a spiritual attribute. But there's various things. You guys get to fill in these quadrants. I just want you thinking whatever speaks to you, that I'm going to have more energy spiritually, physically, and then let's look at emotionally. Emotionally is like having a joy list. And some of you have gone through a coaching program of mine and you've created a joy list. If you've not, there's also a great YouTube video. So again, let's just write this video down. Let's not go there right now. But my YouTube channel is just my name, Tiffany Peterson. And there's a 3-part series called Self-Care Equals Success. And video number 3 of that series is what I'd like you to watch around how do I create more joy? Is you guys, you are the creator of your life and the creator of the quality, meaning the creator of the quality of your life. You maybe didn't create your own life, of course, but the creator of the quality of the life that you're creating now, that you're architecting, that you're experiencing. And one of the sexiest energies you can ever be in let alone, and I don't just mean sexy like physically, but energetically sexy, joyful and juicy, is the energy of joy. And to choose joy. I love that phrase that's out there, right? Choose joy, but to tap into what brings you more joy. And to create what I call a joy list. And you create a list of ideally at least 30 things that you start the list, right? You might only have 6 things initially, that was what the case was for me. But you come up with, say, 15 things that cost money and 15 things that don't. And that you do things more consistently that add little joy deposits to your life. A lot of times we're looking at joy from the place of, oh, if it's my birthday or it's Father's Day, then I can really celebrate, then I can experience that joy, rather than understanding that I want you to have more joy on a regular basis, right? If you were a private coaching client of mine, you'd be accountable to at least an hour of joy investment on a weekly basis. Ideally, you're getting in more like at least 10 or 15 minutes a day. But those can be a variety of things. Like on my joy list, I have everything from baking chocolate chip cookies or baking, period. I really enjoy baking when I have the time and I have a clean kitchen, right? But things like taking a hot soak or reading or getting a manicure or a pedicure, going hiking, writing cards, things like that, a variety of different things, for more elaborate things like travel to shopping and so forth, to simplistic things like reading or taking a hot soak or watching a sunset or things of that nature. I want to share this. I know some of you have heard me share this before, but Natalie knows where I'm going to go with this. When Natalie and I first started coaching together 5.5 years ago, and she was currently, her and Andy at the time, they were Blue Diamond, and obviously we talked about, I want to work with you to go to presidential and let's work on sales. And I said, great, we're going to work on your sales. Let's start with first, have you ever celebrated going blue? And her answer was, like most people I've ever worked with, she wasn't abnormal in her response, was no, I haven't. That's more common than not, that it's like, no, I'm just moving along. It was like your first assignment as we coach together to help you go to presidential is you need to celebrate going blue. You need to do some of that joy for yourself, is creating more regular celebration. Being alive, you guys, write this down for me in your notes. Being alive is the special occasion, right? And when we think about if we're being stingy with joy and scarce with joy, like, oh, well, if it's my birthday, I guess I could have a little joy. Or if it's my anniversary, or it's Mother's Day or Father's Day, or it's Christmas Day, I guess I can have a little joy. Not understanding that I believe that you're here to experience an abundance. My most important teacher in my life has been quoted as saying, I came to give life and to give it more abundantly. And for me, is my ability is often that there's a lack of abundance or a lack of joy to be had is in my ability to receive. And a lot of that begins with the permission to yourself. I'd like you to write that down for me. I allow myself to receive more joy this year. I allow myself to experience more joy. And as the creator of the quality of my life, I'm going to give myself permission to do more of those things. Now, I understand that that doesn't mean that every day we're at the day spa. I will be getting a massage though later this afternoon, so it does kind of align. But I'm going to work some and then, nourish some. But I'm thinking about for myself, right, is not every day obviously looks like that. And some days and some weeks are more different seasons and things, but it's being conscious creators. Let's be more intentional. Is the more you feel good, when you feel good, I want you to connect this dot. When you feel good, does that influence your parenting? 100%. Are you more patient when you feel good? Are you more calm-minded about your challenges or about something, a problem to be solved when you feel good? Right? Are you a better spouse when you feel good? Are you more of a leader that you want to be when you feel good? And I know you know the answer is yes. So I just want you to see that as you make investments in yourself, you're actually making investments in others. It isn't just, hey, it's all about me. It's all about Tiff. No, it's that one of the most important things I do to coach and hold space for other people in my coaching work is that I make sure I'm taking better care of me, that I'm taking my lifelong vitality, that I'm getting good rest, that I'm meditating, that I'm taking time for my body. It is everything, right? It's just like the heart of this image. We could also then say, here's my home life, here's my business, here's my health, here's my finances, is that how you feel influences everything else, okay? Good stuff, good things to be thinking about. The fourth and final quadrant would be mindset. and mental, right? And your own mental or mindset, what helps you when you're feeling good mentally? What's happening? What are some of those habits? Maybe meditation, maybe less time that you're unplugging more and away from your technology. Perhaps that also means that you're taking time, the other quadrants, you can see how they touch over, right? Like if I'm gratitude listing, that helps my mindset and it helps my spiritual connection. If I'm working out regularly, that helps my mindset. I feel better, right? And if my mindset's in a better place, then my emotional quadrant. So they're all connected to each other. So some of the activities might show up in more than one quadrant, and that's totally fine. It's just looking at your life as your own life architect, right? That's the book that I have somewhere in the works that is percolating, and whether it ever gets actually produced in a book format or just through training, is that's what it's called, is the life architect, is looking at for yourself mindset and spiritual and physical, emotional, is that you're architecting your life more intentionally. But other things for me in mindset would be, am I reading regularly or listening to good podcasts? Am I reading spiritual work that fulfills me, that's mental and spiritual, right? Is looking at those things. So Amy, hopefully that gives you a couple of examples for mindset: reading, meditation, again, gratitude listing. I also really love visualization here. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about visualization in this time together, but that free training that's on my website, the 7 strategies for goal achievement, that's one of the 7. And I talk in detail about it there. So I'd love for you guys, again, to make sure you download that program, not right now, but after the fact. You just go to tiffanyspeaks.com, and right on the right-hand side is an opt-in box, and it will send to your email the workbook and the audio that will walk you through it. So hopefully that gives you a couple of things that help you and support you. So, I love that. And I love what someone else is saying is, I love what Jessica said, doTERRA events, right? Yes, absolutely. Those doTERRA events, when you gather, when you get together and so forth. My YouTube channel, as Sarah's mentioning, yes, there's a ton of content and other great, I love myself. I'll go on YouTube and I'll watch an Oprah video or Tony Robbins myself or so forth. There's lots of good things. And I love Heather's point. Cleaning my house helps my mindset. Is that not so true? That's why, like, my office is, I've put like 3 hours over the holiday break into my office, cleaning it up, cluttering, shredding, filing, and really bringing it back into harmony, into that space, right? But same thing with my closet. I got new carpet in December on my upstairs, and that required me to move all my closets, which then I was like, whoa, I have way too many shoes and clothes. I don't know. I know this is being recorded, so you could technically bring this clip up and say, you just said you had too many shoes and clothes. But I'm probably going to deny it down the road because I love shopping and shoes and clothes. But there's also a balance to that. I don't like having too much stuff in my house. It just bugs me. So when I cleaned out all that stuff, the only things that got back in my closet were things I loved and I was actively using, right? I love the book, The Magic Art of Tidying Up by Marie, I think Kondo is her last name. I might be getting that wrong. But she talks about her 3 questions is, do I love it? Do I use it? And where does it live, right? So I love that. Oh, great. Reagan's suggesting that as well. So just come up with your own things, right, that help you feel that you're invested in taking better care of yourself, that you're ready to up level and recommit. Most likely for most of you, it's not like it's a brand new commitment. It's a recommitment to saying, I'm going to up level my energy, and it's not ever going to be perfect. My self-care is never perfect, but I'm committed, right? And your self-care won't be perfect because there's always more we could do for sure, but we're committed, right, for ourselves. So it's looking at that. Any last or any questions or clarification on this before we move on to the next strategy form that we're going to go through together? If anyone wants to throw one in the chat really quick, take a drink of your water or your juice if you've got it there, or your tea. Shannon's asking me to clarify emotions again. I want you to put emotions, and then I also want you to write 2 keywords in your emotional quadrant, which is contentment and joy. And then I'd ask you to look at, Shannon, what feels more like contentment and what brings me joy. And then again, go to video 3 in the 3-part series, Self-Care Equals Success, on YouTube after today's session. That will help as well. It talks in detail about creating and cultivating a joy list for yourself. Okay, you're so welcome. See, that's why I love this. Yeah, Natalie, I love that. Deep breathing, out emotions, energy work would be great there, right? The support. If you guys not learned about tapping, that's another great emotional tool that I really love to help with emotional work, is a tapping process called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. You can find that. Nick Ortner is a great teacher of that on YouTube. We can put that in the resources as well, is a great support system. But I love also the emotional oils that doTERRA has produced, both the yoga line. I've really loved the oil of Anchor, but I've loved for myself Forgive and Console. Those have really helped me at times in terms of support with if I'm wanting to clear out an emotion. The other resource I love on emotional clearing is work called the Sedona Method. Is really fantastic. The Sedona Method by Hale Dwoskin is a great book or a great course that helps with that. So that's something for yourself. Kim's asking, your 4 core habits on your mirror, did that cover these 4 quadrants for you? That for me was just in my physical, right? Is I'm really putting energy there. My morning ritual is down. I'm reading regularly, and I, regularly am doing joy list activities. So my other quadrants feel really well balanced. I'm just heavily focused on my physical energy coming up for me, Kim. But you could put one habit in each area, for instance, on that 5x7 card or 3x5 card and put it on your mirror. I just am focused on what's habitual. I'm already habitual to the other things I mentioned, but my physical was kind of, sometimes on, sometimes off. And I really want those things to be consistent. So that's why I've put that there. And to Susanna's comment, if I'm saying your name right, I hope, sister, is that do I update those core habits every month? I could, for sure. And I'll probably keep those at least quarterly, and they'll be there at least for the quarter, but you can always change them, check in once a month to what's the one habit I want to focus on this month, right? Or the one skill set or something like that. So now that we've talked heavily about nourishing ourselves, and we are going to leave, just so you know, some Q&A time here at the end of this session. I just want to make sure that we're on, okay, timing-wise, where we're at. We're right in a great spot. But I want to touch on the other part of your strategy again that I want to look on is looking at nourishing others, right? So when I think about the crossover of a great life is nourish yourself, nourish others, right? And that those two together kind of create what we're wanting. When we think about up-leveling our lives, it's going to be up-leveling ourselves and then up-leveling our relationships. And so that kind of conversation, I want you to make another chart, and then I will walk you through what this looks like. So don't be stressed for a moment, but make one more of these. And then in the heart, though, or in the center, you can make a circle, you can make a heart. I just like the heart touch. But I want you to write others, right, in terms of relationships. Is I am so juiced. You guys, you're the first people to see this, and you'll see this get turned into like a really cool form and a worksheet that I'm going to create in my own business. But literally this morning, when I was thinking about this, I've been, in the last 48 hours, I've been running several different visioning and goal setting strategy sessions. And most of them have had, you can find a Facebook Live on my account on Facebook. I've done 2 recent Facebook Live videos you can watch about releasing to make room for the new, and then the creation of the new. And then that goals workshop that I've mentioned that's for free on my website is I've spent a lot of time in that kind of creation, but I really felt strongly for this group, this was what we needed to focus on. And so following that intuition is really looking at, I'm going to hold it, I will hold it up again and I'll walk you through it. But now I want you to look at, so the first one we did was me, which we've just covered, and we're going to put that aside now, and you can keep working on it as you want to. But the next one is create one that says others in the center. And then I will walk you through the 4 quadrants of relationships that I'd like you to focus on being invested in, right? And I'm not going to walk you through the inventory, but you could do your own inventory of these 4 areas of where you would currently rate them. I think that's wise to do, just timing wise. I want to get more into this content, but you could take an inventory. So top left, I want you to write personal, right? Your personal relationships. So that's what top left says, is personal. And that's going to be family and friendships. If you're married, you have children, your family of origin, your brothers, your sisters, your friendships, but just personal relationships. Top, so that's top left. Top right is existing leaders in your business. Okay. Bottom left, I want you to write cross line or peers. And then bottom right, I want you to write new relationships. And that could be, we'll talk about what that would mean. You guys, I'm like geeked out because many of you have probably heard some of my trainings before. If not, on my YouTube channel, again, you can go there later, is a video called Nourish Your Network. I really love my most popular, most viewed video is called How to Close More Sales, the Law of 4 Interactions. And it's really talking about, you know, these concepts. I have a product on my website for sale called Nourish Your Network. I teach heavily about this. So just as a little framework is that, as you already know, so this isn't, I'm not going to spend a lot of time in that because you wouldn't be on this Zoom as a silver or above if you weren't already living this principle. But every one of you, I just want a quick reminder to all of us is number one, we're all in the people business, personally and professionally, is that no matter what we do, we obviously are all connected through doTERRA and doing doTERRA. And so we're part of that people business. But if you're a real estate agent, right? I coached a couple of those folks this last year. If you own a restaurant, I've coached a woman, her and her husband, they own over 100 restaurants this last year. If you are a hairstylist, if you're an insurance broker, no matter what we're, quote, doing professionally, we all are in the people business. And people buy from those they know, like, and trust. People get married to people they like. People get divorced from people they don't like so much anymore, right? Is that everything is about the quality of the relationships. And where we're taking proactive action to say, I am the creator of the quality of my life. I am the creator of the quality of my business. I am the core of my success. I am the core of what I'm creating for myself. Is really looking at then how we're going to show up with these relationships to be much more intentional to nourish those relationships. Now, across all of these quadrants, and again, top left is personal. Yep, Tiara's got it. Thank you. Top right is existing leaders. Bottom left is cross-line and peers. And bottom right is new relationships, right? And middle just says others or people business or so forth. And so there's that form. You guys, I'm like so excited about this. Can you tell? Thank you for giving me the opportunity to train with your team. And like this morning, like 30 minutes before we sit down, I was like, because you guys have seen me do this before, because Natalie and Andy and I have done this many times when we've been in person for a VIP day, the personal stuff. And like, let's look at you. And then we've always talked about nourishing relationships, but to see it in like this visual, it just like so excites me.
So beautiful. Love it. It's so good. This is a relationship business. Everything is relationships.
Always. And so much of our joy is attached to where's the quality of my relationships, right? And just the happiness of that and really being aware of that. And it can be sad, it can be happy, it can be all the things, but that we're going to show up. Here's the thing, because it's easy in relationships to the easiest seat to sit in the whole house, so to speak, is the blame seat. That someone else needs to change. Someone else needs to be different. My leader needs to be different. My downline, my upline, my spouse, my parents, my whatever. And don't get me wrong. I have all of those lessons in my life. Trust me, really intimately. I get to learn about these things. But I just want us to commit to, I'm going to choose to nourish myself this year, and I'm going to choose to nourish others more intentionally. So let's look at that as thinking about what are habits and activities in these quadrants you want to do to nourish your relationship. So as we look at personal, things like date nights with your spouse, if applicable, or with your children, right? That you want to be more intentional. Do you know your spouse's love language? If you are in a significant other relationship, I highly recommend that. The 5 love languages is great content, right? Is looking at that for yourselves, is nourishing intentionally those relationships, your friendships, right? And same thing that you could do for any of these quadrants, right? Like sending thank you notes. I just bought a beautiful new stack of thank you notes. Look how cute those are. I love the brand Papaya, and it's papayaart.com. They have so much beautiful stuff. Just bought a new deck of those, right? To send off some thank you notes from Christmas gifts and birthday gifts and just because. But whether it's to your personal, like thank you, like, and to put thank yous more regularly in all your relationships, to be a more intentional appreciation, being a more appreciating person, giving appreciation. See, here's the thing about all humans. They have the same core needs. They need to feel loved, to feel respected, to feel great, appreciated, to feel significant to you. Those needs will never go away, ever. Even if you've been married, you guys have been married, what, 20 years? You just hit 20? Like, huge congratulations. But you already know this, like, Andy's never going to not need to feel loved and appreciated from Natalie. And Natalie's never going to not need to feel appreciated and loved from Andy, right? That's part of continuing a thriving relationship, is where are we investing? And maybe looking at the year and saying, where is our overnight date? You know, and what are we going to do quarterly to get away as a couple and play more and so forth, is to look at that. Now, I know that's not all of you are married like myself. You might be single. And so part of that is, you know, your friendships and your family. Even if you are married, friendships and family matter a lot. Or you might be saying, hey, I really want to nourish my relationships, you know, just being more intentional about that on a personal basis. Anything you want to add to that, Nat or Andy?
No, love it. It's so true. But those things, if we plan it in the calendar, you know, that's the reason we gave you these, right? We know from good experience and breakdown that if we plan it out now for the year and put those relationships first, everything else will fall into line.
So true. So if you guys want to share a few things in the chat box of what are ways you like to nourish your relationships, I'm going to move on to the second quadrant, top right. Existing leaders, activities there, things like mentoring. And are you going to plan a team retreat for your existing leaders? Are you doing a book club call? Are you doing a vision board call or a vision board party in person? Make and take classes. You guys, it's so much of having a thriving, sustainable doTERRA business is that most often when it comes to sales or business, where people, hands down across all businesses and industries, get it wrong, is they ignore their existing clients. And they're always just looking for new. They're always thinking recruiting, recruiting, recruiting. If you want a sustainable, thriving culture, I want you to spend more of your time with your existing leaders, right? Or if we could, I don't know if this exactly works out, but in your schedule, I would look at 50-50 when we're in business time, that we go, great, 50% of my business time, I'm mentoring, I'm nourishing, I'm connecting, I'm hosting, I'm creating, right? Like Zoom is so fantastic. You could do a Zoom vision board party together, right? And create together, or do a book club and read a book once a quarter or even once a month, right? Your mentoring, your gatherings, that you appreciate them, that you put little gifts in the mail. Do you have a recognition thing that you're doing, right? As people do that as they rank advance in your organization, you know, ways that you can nourish your existing leaders is really, really important. That they feel well loved and well nourished, that you're creating community. People that thrive in any direct sales business, I would say that thrive in life. I think everyone's in network marketing because we're always in relationship, right? In your network. But people who are thriving and rocking it is they're regularly creating space for their culture to thrive, right? Like being part of the Goddard's life the last few years and being able to be involved and being an observing of what their creation is. They've hosted so many events, the share success events, you know, the monthly check-ins, the big events. I mean, I remember my favorite, of course, because I got to go, was going to their Diamond Day in Jamaica and coming home 5 pounds heavier. And I wasn't mad about it, right? Because all of that Jamaican jerk chicken and all of the free pina coladas, the all-inclusive resort, it was just like, keep it coming, people. You know, but they're always doing things like that. Obviously, you being here with me, that they created that for you, was to say, we want to invest in our people. We want our people to feel loved and valued. They sent you a beautiful box. Do you realize what a big deal that is, right? They're living it. And I know they're probably feeling a little uncomfortable at the moment that I'm putting this for themselves, you know, on the hot spot. She's like, yeah, move along. No, I'm going to take the ownership. You're not going to boss me right now. You can boss me later, though. But you know what I'm saying? Is just thinking about ways that you nourish your tribe. What kind of culture? That's a great question to sit with, is what kind of culture do I want to be fostering or cultivating? I love the word cultivate, right? Your team, you might be saying, well, I want to be diamond and I'm currently silver. Great. What are you cultivating to get there? And part of that is that you're cultivating a thriving team environment. That doesn't mean everyone will be best friends and hold hands and sing Kumbaya together, but you do your part as the proactive leader to say, I'm going to host the book club or the vision board party or make and takes. One thing I love about Haley B, that's in the Goddard's organization out of Elko, Nevada, shout out to her. She's great at regularly hosting and gathering her people and getting them nourished, right? Is that it becomes a tribe and a community. Bottom left-hand corner is Crossline or your peers, is the value of that. right? I've been a part of a couple of different groups and watching these cross lines support each other, where you maybe do trainings for each other and you learn from each other. What are your best practices? And that you're not competing with each other. We're all in this together. And I love that. Next week, I'm going to fly down to Arizona for a day and a half to hang out with some friends that invited me to come down, that they're gathering for the Bloom Presidential, but they're all cross-line and they become really close friends as cross-line friends, right? And that kind of thing is nourishing your peers and people that are in the business that you can learn from and so forth. Ange Peters right now, if you haven't seen what she's out creating, I don't know whose line she's in. I don't remember, but might be with Brianne Hovey's work. But the reality is, you know, she's got a great blueprint out on her Facebook account right now that's like a great creation experience, and that support. The point is that nourish those relationships too, and the value of that. I know, like, you guys have trained for many people's teams. Natalie and Andy have done so much for all people's teams. Their once a week call, which, by the way, I forgot about that. I don't know if you guys know that Natalie and Andy and I do a once a week coaching call, success coaching call on Wednesday mornings. Do you guys know about that? If not, we want you to join in on that. See, so many no's. You guys need to know about that because it's a once a week juicy call. So much value for yourself. How do they access that so they can get the information? Because that's something that's open, that we've had plenty of people join that call that are not in your direct organization because you're just
Right. And we have text reminders to go out. I know that it helps me if I just get something on my phone. So great, easy way to access it.
Just go to sharesuccess.com. In the quick links on the right, you go down to success coaching call. So
and we'll share a link to that page in the email as well.
Yeah.
And it's a great shot in the arms so that you can get that energy and also ask questions for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So they'll send you guys that link. It's on sharesuccess.com, correct, loves?
Yep.
That's right.
That's the name of it. Okay. Just because you kind of fuzzed out a little bit when you were sharing it there. Natalie has just put it in the chat box as well. But get on the text link so you get reminded. It also is, though, recorded, and so you can listen to it as a podcast. So if you can't join live, you can listen to the recordings. But we're doing juicy doTERRA business strategy, mindset strategy coaching every week, week in and week out. But that's one way that also Natalie and Andy nourish their whole organization, as well as it's open to their cross lines, to their peers, right? That you can access that. So nourish your network in that way and be open to learning from other people. That's a powerful way to grow yourself, is learning from that from yourselves, right?
While we're on that call, Tiff, should we make our little announcement?
Have you figured out the technology on that, though?
Yep, it's all sorted out.
Of how they can interact with us?
Yeah, so...
okay, you announce this, Betty, because this was a big step up for me.
We've done this call for a long time, and we've done it audio, right? On our phone. A lot of times in our PJs.
Yep, almost every time. So,
yeah, like no makeup, in our pajamas, yes.
Yes.
A lot.
So, I don't know about you guys, but dialing phone numbers and putting in conference codes feels so 1990s to me. Like, that was so last year.
Easy now.
Sorry. So we're going to continue to offer it as a call-in for those who want to, but we're also joining the 21st century, and we're going to be offering it as a Zoom and a Facebook Live. So now you can just go to the Share Success Facebook page, and it will hop in and Zoom, and you'll be able to see these two gorgeous ladies, Natalie and Tiffany, and it'll just be a more interactive and one-click way to hop on. So super excited about that.
Don't worry, we'll
Guaranteed there'll still be some PJs.
And that will still, though, be able to be recorded to audio for a podcast replay, though, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
So people can take it on the go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So all the benefits of the 90s with the Zoom benefits and Facebook Live benefits.
So Andy called me 2 days ago and he said, hey, friend, let's talk about the coaching call we do every week. And I was like, yeah, great. And he said,
how'd you feel if I think we should up level it? And then I was like, okay, what do you think? And he's like, I think we should do this on Zoom now. And he knows me that I'm like, well, why I work for myself is I don't usually commit to anything before 10 in the morning. For these lovebirds, I'll of course do that, 8:30 my time call. But normally that does mean I'm still in yoga pants or pajamas, and my hair is in a messy bun, and I definitely don't have makeup on. So some weeks, you guys, you're going to get me lipstick free probably. Just know that. I appreciate that. Find Fulton at msn.com. I'm not sure who that says you can still wear your jammies. So permission's been granted, right? But yeah, so we're going to up level that game where you guys can engage with us more so on video, but we'll still record the audio so you can listen to the podcast. But we hope you're part of that, because that's an incredible resource that's just free. You don't pay a thing for that. We just offer the time once a week for an hour where you can ask your questions and get coaching support. And the value is, even the weeks, many of you know this that have tuned in already, even if you're not the one that is asking the question, they are very universal and they are, applicable. People love that because then they get so much from it. Even if you're not the one to share, is people are asking questions about fear and productivity and working with challenging people and how to have crucial conversations and so forth, right? Thanks, Denise. Bring my messy bun and love it. You bet. It's going to happen. So, because that's real life. Because I know some weeks I'll be up and already ready to go, and some weeks you're just going to get me raw and uncut. And I promise the coaching will still be the same. There you have it. All right. So the fourth and final quadrant I want us to touch on, back to your strategy sheet with others, is bottom right hand is new relationships. So I do want you to look at, so it's like existing is on the top and new is on the bottom, is we do want to give time for that and thinking about habits of how are you going to cultivate new relationships? Are there networking events you're going to attend, or personal growth events, or you're going to cultivate the person you met at yoga class last week and follow up with them? You're going to host classes. You're going to do things online, social. You're going to be a great content creator on your social media in terms of sharing valuable tips and ideas, maybe hosting online classes or Facebook Lives. Those make me so uncomfortable, but I do them anyway, right? It's just the dynamic of that. But for yourself is, how will I nourish new relationships? So that's really the question for all of these quadrants. How will I nourish my personal relationships? How will I nourish my existing leaders? How will I nourish my cross-line or my peers? And how will I nourish my new relationships, right? For yourself, that you're thinking about this for your own focus of growth for this year, is really at the heartbeat of this is, again, as I've mentioned, is as you think about, I want to increase the thrive in my life. I want more high vibration. Then we raise your own self-care, your own self-relationship, your own self-wellness, your own well-being, right? You're a wellness advocate. So advocate for yourself as much as you advocate for others. And then we also then nourish other people, right? Nourish self, nourish others. That's actually, you guys, my word for the year for 2018 is the word nourish. And that might sound like the obvious because I've taught so much Nourish Your Network. I didn't even think about that till like 3 days after I'd picked the word. Is for me, it was more like, I want more quality and substance in my life, in my schedule, in my body, my nourishment of my food, my nourishment of my mind, nourishment of my time, right? Is I want more real life nourishing activities. And so that word picked me. I had brainstormed out a couple of different words. I love the word alignment. I love the word intention. Of course, love words like joy and magic and miracles and receiving and so forth. But this year is nourish for me. You can obviously yourself, but whether that's your formal word or not, is how you grow yourself and how you grow your business is how you're investing in yourself and in your relationships, and that you're a more conscious creator of that. Now, I'm going to say this one more time because I have to say that I did feel just a little bit of angst not doing my traditional content to walk you through those 7 strategies for vision and goal creation. Is I know those principles 1000% work when they're applied. So I want to make sure you've got those as well. Again, tiffanyspeaks.com is where you access that and you go through. See, it's all written out here for me in my notebook. That's what I keep looking at and referencing, is I want you to have these 7 strategies. So make sure you download that program and you can go through that as well. I just felt strongly about, for this group,
And for the space, what kept just clearly coming through is really grounding you in yourself again, recommitting to yourself. What are the small, simple habits that will up-level your own energy and your own wellness, matched with then seeing and then being intentional about how am I going to up-level my business and my personal relationships and nourish them more intentionally. I would definitely say the skill set to pay attention to in all relationships overall is to focus in on asking more and talking less in your interactions, is to really hone in on the skill of asking better questions. I know many of you have my 5 Gates training, the Sales Mastery Kit. If not, just know you can always access that on my website at any time of the year at 50% off with the code Goddards at checkout. Goddards is in all caps. But Sales Mastery is that program where it talks in detail about how to master the art of asking great questions that you can find on my site as well. But those are the core things that I wanted to cover. I want to leave plenty of time where Andy and Natalie can talk through their strengths, and then we'll leave some time for some coaching. And we'll do some live coaching time as well at the end. So I'm just going to hang out here with you guys and take some good notes from them as they walk us through this process. Natalie, anything you want to add to what we're talking about nourishing yourself, nourishing others?
I love that. If we just do these 2 things, and I think it's no coincidence that Tiffany was feeling that for us, right? It's so easy to give, and that nourishing ourselves helps us to receive so that we can truly give, right?
Wow.
And nourishing our relationships, there's nothing more valuable or more meaningful that will come back to you. And, you know, being a part of this business, seeing the creation of it in our lives and what it brings about, there's no more important focus that we could have here today. So, Tiffany, perfecto.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm just excited for what 2018 is going to bring for all of you. So, yes, Cheryl's wanting to see the first page again. Again, it's just me. We've put all the notes, and then, we'll just scroll back through the chat. But Cheryl, it's the first page is me in the center, and then physical, spiritual, emotional, and mental are the 4 quadrants. And Glee's asking, the class it's a program. It's an audio program called Sales Mastery is the name of the product. You can receive it digitally or hard copy if you're, a little bit like your traditional CDs, and it can be shipped out to you. But Goddard, or I think it may be Goddards with an S, is your code in all caps at checkout. So awesome.
That's such valuable info. And I love, we'll send the links to that and the details on it. So you're great. You're covered. But Tiffany, I love this content. I love those, you were holding up your notebook of what comes in the other series. What was that called again?
That's on my website. That's called the 7 Strategies for Successful Goal Achievement. Just write goals training and you go to tiffanyspeaks.com, right? So,
that goals training is so valuable. We'll send you that link, but just being able to say, what do I want more of this coming year? And what do I want less of? So I want you to just ask that question quickly. What do you want more of this year? What do you want more of? And this is a lot of what we've already talked about, right? Those are the ideas that have already come up for you. And this is a great time to clear out and declutter like we talked about as well. So just also, what do you want less of? This is the time where I know Andy and I look at each other and say, okay, this call, there's no energy to it anymore. And it's time for it to go. But this thing, that's where we're feeling the energy. Let's invest more in there, more time, more energy, more of our heart space, right? So take a look at those things that you want less of, and start eliminating for the things that create the most value. And we wanted to share some of the things that have created the most value for us. I've been on this journey for a long time, and one of the things that has changed our own space and our relationships in life and in this business has been a strengths focus.
So about 10 years ago, Laura and Jerry Jacobs said, hey, can we do a double date and take this online test called StrengthsFinder? And so we got together at our house, we went online, we took the test, and then we compared our notes. And we were both just blown away by the level of personal insight, the level of partnership insight in terms of how we work with the Jacobs and how we can best leverage our own and each other's strengths to really create and maximize our value creation, and the way we can really plan a project and execute a project and really just be our very best selves. It was so fun. And so we've had that as a foundation for our whole doTERRA journey. And it was about 2 or 3 years ago that it came to the surface again. In fact, one of our good friends from about 20 years ago, Jeremy Breckeisen, works at Gallup, which is the company that developed the StrengthsFinder test.
Many of you heard him at convention,
Exactly.
right? He brought some great insights.
So we reached out to him, and he offered to do some more in-depth training and even take a look at our team, our whole front line, and say, what are all their strengths and how can you guys work better together? So we just want to share with you some of the high-level insights that we've gained and how you can take your doTERRA business to the next level by understanding your strengths, understanding your team member strengths, and creating just more vibrant and powerful partnerships.
So powerful. So whether, the first step is taking the test yourself, we'll send a link to that so you can have that. And then you can get a Gallup facilitator that will kind of give you a little report that we'll show you in a minute.
So I want to start off by telling a little story. This is a story written by George Rebus. And this is actually written back in the 1940s, and it's about the animal school. So once upon a time, there were a group of animals that they wanted to do something really heroic. They wanted to meet the problems of a new world, and so they organized a school. They put together an activity curriculum consisting of running, climbing, swimming, and flying. And to make it easier to administer the curriculum, they decided that all the animals need to take all of the subjects. So the duck was excellent in swimming, in fact, better than his instructor, but he only made passing grades in flying and was really poor in running. Because he was slow in running, he had to stay after school and also drop swimming in order to practice running. This was kept up until his webbed feet were badly worn and he was only an average swimmer. But average was acceptable in school, so nobody worried about that except for the duck. The rabbit started at the top of his class in running, but had a nervous breakdown because of so much makeup work in swimming. The squirrel was excellent in climbing until he developed so much frustration in flying class that his teacher made him start from the ground up instead of from the treetop down. So he developed a Charlie horse from overexertion and then got a C in climbing and D in running. The eagle was a problem child and was disciplined severely because in the climbing class, he beat all the others to the top of the tree and insisted on using his own way to get there. So by the end of the year, an abnormal eel that could swim exceedingly well and also climb and run and fly a little had the highest average and was valedictorian. The prairie dog, they all stayed out of school and fought the tax levy because the administration would not add digging and burrowing to the curriculum. They apprenticed their children to a badger and later joined the groundhogs and gophers to start a successful private school. So, what is the moral of this story? Clearly, we are like these animals, right? We all have, we have strengths and we have weaknesses. There are some things that we do that leave us feeling drained and weak and even disengaged. So there are other things that we do that energize us and put us in flow. And we leave the activity, even though we're fully engaged, we leave it feeling more energized. So, so the question for us, the question we have for you today is, how can you shine in your strengths, and really just magnify your life purpose by focusing on your strengths instead of mitigating your weaknesses, right? This animal school was based on making everybody the same and making sure that the rabbit could be a good swimmer and the eel could be a good runner. That's not where we're going to find the greatest breakthroughs. Where we're going to
what I love about that is like what we love about doTERRA is that it's natural, right? But you hear that story about all those animals and you're like, wow, that's the least natural thing, right? You're making everybody go from this natural way of just expressing their gifts and strengths and being in who they are to something else where they're trying to be something more, something different, someone that they're not.
Exactly. So, so our first recommendation is to take the StrengthsFinder test. It takes like 30 minutes. It's like $20 to get your top 5 results. It's more expensive if you want to get your full 35. But basically, what Natalie and I have learned is Natalie has her number one strength is strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So one of her other top 5 strengths is arranger. So when it comes to sitting down with a builder and looking at their organization and their leaders and how to best place a new builder or how to set up their team for success, who do you think the best person is going to be to work with? It's going to be Natalie, right? She is a master Jedi, and when she is in that zone, she is brilliant and just shines. I'm really good at helping people with their limiting beliefs and doing personal breakthrough. So if somebody is feeling stuck, if somebody needs to catch a vision, another one of my strengths is futuristic. So I can help paint a picture for someone of what's possible, what the future could look like. And so sometimes Natalie is in the middle of mentoring someone and she'll pass them off to me and I'll take them where I shine best. And that's great, right? There's nothing wrong with that. We don't try to be the other's strengths.
Yeah.
So
Andy, he did this, you got to show me your phone.
So my home screen is my top 5 strengths. So I took and got a little reminder there. So I took my top 5 strengths and I just made a screen that shows them. So number 1 is activator. That means I love to get started. I'm really good at, even with a little bit of vision, just running and getting started. Mm-hmm. Natalie is really good at its strategy and arranging, but also restoring. So another way.
So cool, right? A good way for us to remember those strengths instead of what's always coming at us, right? How many times are those negative messages of what we're not, right, coming at us? And I'll let you know how we made those.
Yeah, there's an app called WordSwag. So so basically, in doTERRA, we've narrowed down the few core activities that everyone gets to do to move their doTERRA business forward, right? And it's called PIPES: prepare, invite, present, enroll, support. So the way you do those pipes, using your strengths, can make all the difference in your business. So let's just talk about presenting, for example. Jeremy Breckeisen, he and his wife both are doTERRA builders. I think they're gold, pushing for platinum. And they have very different strengths. And they leverage those strengths and they present very differently. They were some of the top performers in the last Diamond Club because they use their strength and they leverage them. So let's talk about they call that woo. So he's really, really good at, can you still hear me? Okay, so my internet was unstable. So Jeremy, when he's presenting, he's always thinking, how can I be funny? How can I be interactive? Have I engaged that person on the back row? And he also has the gift of futuristic. And so he paints a picture of what's possible. And he talks about, these leadership principles, and he talks about changing the world and revolutionizing healthcare. And it's this big picture, really visionary way of presenting, and he gets massive enrollments. His wife has very different strengths. She has a more medical background, and so she's very good at talking about health goals and how the oils can help people with their health goals. And she gets into the science and the nitty gritty of those health goals. And so she gets massive enrollments when she presents. So when they do Diamond Club, they split up and they each do different events. And sometimes they present together. And they still are very effective at what they do because they're willing to first learn their strengths and then embrace them in the way they do doTERRA. So that's just one example of presenting. Enrolling is a whole nother conversation. When you're sitting down with somebody and you're helping them get started and get their own account, using your strengths is going to be imperative to help them engage, help them commit, and help them get moving forward. So I'm an activator. And so I don't need a lot of details. I don't need a lot of strategy to get started. If I like an idea, then it's time to put the pedal to the metal. It's go time. And Natalie... We
talk about an idea and he's building a website before we've even...
I've looked up the URLs. I've bought one. I've set up the hosting and I'm going. WordPress is installed in 5 minutes or less. Natalie, because of her strategist, she likes to see all the options. And she likes to know that she's explored all those and that we're going with the best option. Mm-hmm. And so knowing that we have different strengths, we can manage that. Mm-hmm. And so we're not frustrated with each other. We're looking at, hey, Andy, since your activator needs to get going, could you research the best options and bring it back to me? Awesome. So like enrolling someone, like how could somebody use their strengths when they're enrolling someone?
Oh my goodness. I love, like, my strategist helps me to be able to make the right approach for any one person, right? I can see what their pain is and get the right strategy to help them see how doTERRA is a solution to that pain, So it's powerful when you understand those strengths, you can know how to work with them. So one challenge we want to give you is just to do that date night like we did long ago with Laura and Jerry Jacobs, to just take the strengths finder. Again, we'll send you the link for that, but it takes about 30 minutes and you can take that test and you'll get your results and you can make magic from those results. That has helped us in our mentoring, in our enrolling, in how we support our teams, but it's also helped us personally, right? In our relationship on how to connect better. And it can be really powerful with you and your, we actually did this with our children, even our 10-year-old, we helped take this test. And so now we have a list of those top 5 strengths for each of us. Mm-hmm. So we just got back from a family vacation. Normally I experience a lot of periodic frustration on family vacation. And I noticed that this time, because I understood my children's strengths and that, my 16-year-old just needs to have something going all the time, that I could work with that. And I was more peaceful with it because I just had that awareness. It goes back to what Tiffany was saying in the beginning, right? Instead of judgment, awareness. And that's so powerful for us. So we created just a list of our kids' strengths, and we did the same thing with our leaders. So can we show you a little bit of what that looks like? Well, Andy's bringing that up. All the leaders, gold and above on our team, received these cards. And these cards go into detail on each of the strengths. And I love, all the information on the card is powerful, but it helps put the results of the test together and put put that into practice more. So we had our results a long time ago, but I didn't know what to do with it until now. So these cards have really helped us do that. So reach out to a Gold and Above, use their sets, work together on this as teams.
You can order your own set. It's called Clifton StrengthsFinder Theme Insights cards.
We'll send you the link for where you can get that. But these, I love the parts about I am, being, like who we are. An activator is someone that's impatient with inactivity. And they need less discussion, more action. And how they can contribute is they can bring this catalytic sense of energy, urgency. So that's what Andy brings to a conversation and an enrollment, is that kind of urgency, because he's ready to go, ready to roll, right? And then there's also some even descriptions of how you can contrast it with other strengths that might seem similar to it. So just great insights here. And this helped us work with all, so that we kind of see where are their strengths. Their 1 to 5 strengths you're going to see there in the green. And we noticed that, like, how many of us in our main line are over here in strategic, right? It was so powerful for us. So we could see our strengths in the green, and we could see our very bottom in the orange. And it was great for us to be able to use those strengths and mitigate the weaknesses. And as you can see, the strengths are divided into 4 main areas, right? Executing, all the action and getting things done. Influencing, which is about using our influence to make things happen. Relationship building and strategic thinking. We have one child that has 4 of their 5 strengths in strategic thinking. So it helps us understand how to work with them and help them progress in life, right? Not try and make a rabbit become an eagle, but let that rabbit be a rabbit and know them for who they are. So one of the things, we've had so much joy along our journey in doTERRA, and there's been a lot of pain, right? Those places, the people that we love the most, right? If you look at your family, where you have the most joy and meaning, you also can have the most stretch, right? And challenge. And so it's the same way in our doTERRA businesses. As we work with builders and leaders throughout our team, those are going to be the perfect people to stretch us to the ends of the earth, right? And so as we understand them more, understand our own strengths, understand their strengths, and how we can work together, that's where we can find the magic. So,
Go back to the video.
yeah,
Or,
great.
okay.
So, I want to, this will help us know some of the things we talked about, right? We talked about what do you want more of, what do you want less of. I think it's great to say what's working and what's not working in our business right now, to learn and observe from our experiences. What are the things that aren't working right now in your team? And what are the things that are working, so we can do more of that in our strengths? And, strengths become, kind of the architecture, right? Like Tiffany was talking about, it helps us, strengths aren't what we're doing, it's how we're doing it, right? So that helps me understand, like, where are my energizers going to be? And where are my energy drains going to be? And I want to go toward the energizers and let go of the drains, right? Close those up, sync those up. Big drain for me, relationships that I haven't known how to handle. And strengths has helped me understand those so that I can, because we're different. It's hard for an eagle to understand how to deal with a rabbit. peacefully, right? And not just come and attack it and take it for lunch. So strengths gives us a language, gives us more around all of these strengths so we can understand them and put them to work in our lives and in our business.
Should we talk about mentoring?
Yep.
So the last letter in PIPES is S, which is for support. So when we are doing a mentoring call with any of our team members, we find out in advance what their top 5 strengths are, and then we pick out the cards that are in their top 5. So there's a whole card for each one. So Natalie, if I'm coaching Natalie, I'm going to make sure that I've read in advance what the top 5 strengths are on the card, and I'm going to focus in on the I am section, the I bring section, and the I need section, which is so for Natalie, she's strategic. So she is willing to consider all the possibilities, so the best isn't being missed. Her doing is I find the best route moving forward. Her contribution is I am creative, anticipation, imagination, persistence, and her need is the freedom to make mid-course corrections.
So if Andy's remembering that right before we have a call, oh yeah, she needs that freedom to make mid-course corrections. On this call, I need to be open to that and allow a space for that. And oh yeah, she needs to consider all the possibilities. So let's make sure we go to the brainstorming part so that she's not left, you know those mentoring calls where it wasn't quite what it could be. We can create something different than that, right? Fullness where needs are really met and that person is empowered to go forward. The way we can know if a mentoring call is successful is if the mentee is feeling like, I can do that, and they know clearly what to do.
So, for example, with her strategist, it's not going to be as useful for me to tell her what to do. It might be more useful to present multiple options, right? So let's say Natalie wants to get some more enrollments. I might need to talk to her. Okay, you could present one-on-one. You could present in a class. You could present through a webinar. You could just connect with people, set up a lunch, a meeting at the coffee shop. And that's going to be more useful for her is to see all of her options. Same thing when it comes to finding new people. Let's look at all your options. And then obviously with all mentoring, we empower them, we show them, we let them choose, let them claim it, and be the master of their own destiny. And so that's one just example of how we can mentor understanding and leveraging strengths.
So Denise says, asking, hey, so you're saying we need to have all our leaders take the Strengths Finder test. I don't know of another way to understand each other and be able to speak this language. And I think it will be very useful as we go forward this year, because this is a focus that doTERRA is having as well. So as you come to leadership, you're going to get more insights here. And so we've proven through the track record how useful it has been. So this is a process that we've been in, at least focusing in over the past year. And it's brought some of the most incredible fruits. Usually I'm feeling like, wow, I got to spend a lot more time in these relationships, taking care of these relationships, when now I'm noticing, wow, I just know what to do. And so what time and energy I'm investing here is making the difference that I need it to make. And that's been powerful. So it's a low cost. It's something we do recommend for you, your spouse, whatever children you want to participate in that. And we recommend it for your leaders. And once you've taken it, we brought our mainline, our qualifiers together, everybody that was here in the US that we could gather, and we sat down and we went over our results. So we could experience Andy's brilliance and Kelly Anderson's brilliance, and Matt's, and Laura and Jerry, and Mark and Jen, and Rox and James, and as we experience that brilliance, then we understand them more. There was so much aha, right? Before, where we have this, it can feel like competition or da-da-da. Then we understand each other, and we can go to whole new levels.
Just one example of that. We used to have frontline calls where there were a couple like Laura who had the strength of command. So she needed to share things and use her command. And some of our other leaders didn't have that strength. And so they felt like she was monopolizing the call and they couldn't get a word in edgewise. And so they stopped coming to the calls. Mm-hmm. So we suffered for like 7 years because we didn't know this was her strength and we didn't know how to plan around it. Mm-hmm. So now one of the things we've done is we've said, okay, we're going to start with the youngest leaders first. And then Laura can, always have a voice, but she might go last. And we might need to say there are time limits, right, on shares. So that's just another way where we have, by understanding strengths, we've been able to come back together and create those frontline calls and have them be useful, have them be powerful, have everyone feel like their voice is heard, and they have a voice.
So you might do this with your frontline, with your qualifiers on your first 2 lines, or you might do it with your frontline and then do it with your frontline's frontline, right? Or qualifiers there. Just a powerful way to do that. You could even invite all your silvers and above, or your premiers and above, or your elites and above. Do it as part of a campaign that you're doing, or along those lines. So some of the questions, yes, if you buy the book, the code is in there and you can have the book as a reference. That's powerful. Do we recommend that you take it again after time passes? We thought, it's been a few years, I should take this again. Guess what? It was essentially the same. So you should be on target. That's what they say, the studies show. So Gallup has some pretty good track records on knowing what works and instruments here, so we can trust that.
One of the things that I love doing, like if you're going to order these and use these theme insight cards, if you get them before your team has them, when you do your first mentoring session with these in your hands, all you have to do is basically read those sections to them, and they will think you are a mind reader. Mm-hmm. It is the coolest thing. That's what Jeremy did for us, and we just sat there, and he was on a webinar, so we couldn't tell that he was reading the cards. We're like, he is reading my soul. It was the craziest, coolest thing. And you can have that experience and give that experience to your team members. Mm-hmm. They just feel so understood.
We totally recorded it because we felt like, oh my gosh, he's getting a download about us and our leaders. And here he was reading off the cards. That's how powerful it was. And it was, again, theme insight cards from Gallup. We'll send you the link. Awesome. Or golds and above on your teams have it. We value you. We wanted you to have these cool tools. Dee, we just have a few minutes left, but we want these strengths topics will be coming up again and again. And we want a forum where you can communicate, where you can ask these questions. So we do have a Business Builders Facebook page that we will share with you. As you have questions that way, feel free to bring questions that way, and we'll bring content to you on occasion like this. We want to create value for you. We want you to stay in the powerful place that you're in and to be able to be who you really are. In closing, we were inspired by Kyle Kirschbaum and this kind of cycle that he created a while back. And we created this for you, and we'll send this out in the email as well. Download a picture of a possible 2018 strategy. We want to give you the practical pieces. Maybe what's been lined out here, Kyle took a look at like basically all the incentives that doTERRA ever does, and also the natural seasons that happen in our businesses. So, you know, if you can see here by the colors, you've got enrolling and rank advancing. This first 6 months is a powerful time for that, right? And then right post-convention, September, October, November, also powerful time for enrolling and rank advancing. And, you know, if you try and enroll and rank advance in July and August, sometimes those aren't the easiest months. Sometimes that's not when the flow is there, right? Or December, when everybody's wanting to be with their family. So just acknowledging the normal seasons and how to work with that. How about duplicating leadership? You see right here in the orange, duplicating leadership and training our teams on how to do the pipes, right? This is a great time, January through May. It's perfect while the kids are in school. You know, those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, you may have a little different timeline, but this is what works for us. In August, duplicating leadership comes back, and then October and November as well. How about personal development? Sometimes, you know, summer when people are ready to breathe and you're away on family trips with the kids and you're going to convention, that's a great time to focus in on that personal development. How about December for that, right? Thinking about those attributes, reflecting on the year, powerful for personal development. June and July seem like a natural time for rest and refocus. Same with December. So I remember when we had our own ideas for how things were going to happen with advancement and da-da-da, and we would be like, oh, it's December, I know it's December, when sometimes we would be working against the natural seasons of things. And, you know, things are always unique. This is just a typical focus here. And we wanted to show you, if you break things up in 90-day increments, right? According to seasons, that's about how far we can think. Yes, get that intention and vision for the year, and then bring it down to a quarterly focus, to a quarterly personal goal and business goal. And, you know, Tiffany was talking about, hey, I'm checking in and I'm going to target those monthly. Maybe you want to break it down a little bit more monthly, but maybe you have an overall focus for that time. So as you get this clarity, you'll be able to create so powerfully, and we'll get this out to you as well. We're having a Blue Presidential Mastermind this coming week, and we have some more materials that will be helpful from that that will also email out to you and post on Share Success for those of you, you know, that's useful for. So we want you to have the certainty that is needed to create all that you desire this year. And that comes from the clarity that you paid the price to get today, and that you'll continue to invest time in after you leave, right? Now you have some direction, but that takes the one-on-one time for you to invest, for you to go deep now. And you will walk away with that clarity that brings certainty, that will bring power to your life and to your business. And that's our desire for you, that you can experience everything that you're meant to experience, that you can naturally be you, operate in your strengths, and help your leaders, your builders, and even your users do the same. As you do that, we know you'll experience great success, and we'll just continue in experiencing success.
Thank you so much for joining us today, guys. We're sending you all of our love. Take all the time you need to drop deep into any more planning, any more reflection. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for your guidance and your inspiration, and so grateful for the role you've played for us and for our team.
As we walk away and walk into this year, I love what Tiffany says about the harvest cannot be prevented. You are planting the seeds now. the harvest cannot be prevented. Keep planting those seeds, keep putting one foot in front of the other, and do that with great clarity and great love. And all the harvest will come back to you. We love you. You're amazing.
We'll see you on our success coaching call, right?
Yes.
Come join us on Wednesday. We'll see you then.